good afternoon. It's Monday, August 8th. And thanks so much for being here. Welcome to my channel, Everyday Talk 24/7. Really great to have you here. This week, I want to begin talking about wisdom and the value of wisdom. It's something I talk a lot about. It's something in the Bible talks a lot. The problem is wisdom can get familiar to us. It can become religious language where it loses its impact on our lives. But the Bible has extremely valuable things for us to understand about wisdom and why it's so important. Proverbs chapter 4 highlights wisdom in a way perhaps that no other does. It's all devoted to the value of wisdom. You get wisdom. It's the most important thing you could pursue, although even that costs you all that you have. Get wisdom. So that's something that's pretty valuable. Chapter 3 says nothing on earth can compare with the wonders of wisdom. So specifically, we have a little more insight into that in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 6. This translation says, don't turn your back on wisdom, or don't turn away from wisdom, for she will protect you. Love her and she will guard you. Don't turn aside from wisdom, because she'll take care of you. She'll protect you. Love her, and she will guard you. See, what we can kind of draw between the lines here, what Solomon is teaching us, is that whatever you love becomes the source of your protection. Whatever you love becomes the source of your protection. Stated a little bit differently, whatever you love, you become vulnerable to that which you love. So that's why I say in the title here of this video, love wisely. Because whatever you invest in, whatever your heart is given to, that becomes your source of protection. Because you're vulnerable to that. And if that's not something you can really rely on, then you're exposing yourself to all kinds of danger and harm. That's the problem with getting carried away by passion. We become passionate about something and we love it, but it's not capable of protecting us. All it does is expose us to more and more damage. An easy example way to start this would be, well, you could love ice cream, okay? How much protection in there is there from loving ice cream? Well, for the few moments that you enjoy the ice cream, you're protected from things and you enjoy and delight in that. But to the pounds it adds to your body, to the lack of health that it gives overall, if that's all you pursued, then it's not something that's very trustworthy, is it? What about activities, sports, whatever? If that becomes the central focus of what you love, then you gain something from that, but where's the protection? So you become vulnerable to all of the problems that can come with that. So many people have invested themselves in sport or something that's physically demanding, and they wound up being hurt physically, receive some kind of injury because of their love of the sport or the activity, and then they can't do it anymore. I've got two fairly bad knees that kind of messed up when I was a teenager. Some of it's due to football, other things, but I'm still paying the price for that. Other people are far more devastated than what I have been. So what you love, you become vulnerable to. What about in relationships? You may become passionate about a person, a situation, an activity, or the actual enjoyment of being with a particular person. But then that person also becomes your source of protection. You're vulnerable to that person. Are you going to be really safe with them? Are you going to be safe beyond the passion of the moment? Are you going to be safe beyond the enjoyment of what you do together? Are they really going to love and protect you? Or is your vulnerability to them ultimately going to damage you and hurt you? You can love a career. You can love any number of things. But then that love makes you vulnerable to that thing that you're loving. Where's the source of protection for that? Proverbs is saying very clearly here, don't turn your back on wisdom, for she will protect you. Love her and she will guard you. You see, if we love God's wisdom and build our life around the love of wisdom, then it protects us in every other area that we get into. We'll know the boundaries of sport. We'll be able to demonstrate, be able to see someone else demonstrating, are they really someone who is wise, who's going to love God first and therefore be able to love me well? Or are they going to love themselves first? Be more concerned about them than they are about me and about God. Whatever you love, you become vulnerable to that. Jesus says we can't have two masters. We either love the one or hate the other. Be devoted to the one and turn away from the other. He's just repeating this thought here from Proverbs chapter 4. But if I love wisdom, then I'll be protected, because then wisdom, following the ways of wisdom, will lead me in the right direction in terms of relationships. It will lead me in the right direction in terms of sexual activity. Being wise in our sexual behavior will protect us. Following our passion with sexual intimacy will ultimately destroy us, as we see happening around us. Love of a career. If your pursuit is to pursue a career, that's what you want more than anything else, then you're vulnerable to all the issues that come there. But if I'm loving wisely, if I love wisdom first, then I'll know which career to pursue, I'll know which person to pursue, I'll know which relationships are safe and which ones are not. Proverbs are full of that, giving us that kind of wisdom. So that's the thought for this day. Whatever you love becomes your source of protection. That means whatever you love, you become vulnerable to. Do you want to be vulnerable to the passions and the lust and the self-interest of the world around you or the people around you? Or do you want to be vulnerable to the love of God? See, we're going to be vulnerable to something. We can't avoid that. Let's be vulnerable to God and vulnerable to His wisdom. If I'm vulnerable to His wisdom, then it will protect me. It will guard me. And nothing else can make that beautiful promise. Give me some thoughts and feedback about this. Think about it. This is really important. What you love is your source of protection. Can you really trust that? There's only one way you can really trust that, if you love wisdom first. And that's the thought for this day. Thanks so much for being here, and check us out at everydaytalk247.com. If you haven't subscribed, turn on post notifications. Videos will come right to you. Again, thanks so much for being here. So thankful for your support and your comments. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. You have a great day. Love wisdom.